Good morning. It's June 28th, 2019 for my records. Just want to do a quick comparison here between Negronne. This is Negronne. I love Negronne. It made the earliest Breba this year. It was first back in May, and they were delicious too. I'd have to say, honestly, they were the best of all the Breba I've eaten, except for one Ronde Bordeaux, which was a tie for sure. These are great varieties. This is Nero 600M, and there's always a debate about VDB versus Negronne and Nero 600M and other strains, and there are a lot of strains of this fantastic variety. It needs no introduction. I'm sure just about everybody out there is familiar with it, but for those of you that are not, these are two very reliable cultivars that you can certainly count on. You can grow them in containers or in ground. Of course, in ground needs protection. I believe in protection very strongly. Another method here I wanted to talk a little bit about. You can see that I have this grow bag for this Negronne planted all the way in the ground. I've cut 1-inch holes, 3 inches from the bottom, and the roots. This was planted all the way back in April, around April 15th, very close to the middle. As soon as I thought that there would be no more frost. If there was going to be a frost, I would throw a tarp over it, but I put it in early because I wanted the roots to get established. And I watered it with rainwater, which I warmed up in the greenhouse to accelerate its growth. And you can see that the Negronne is just as productive and just as far along as the Nero 600, which was kept often in the greenhouse, not always. I believe in putting them out in as much sun, direct sun, as possible. I just think that's a better policy. I only use my greenhouse as soon as it warms up, just for protection when it's going to be real windy or rain real hard. I'll put it back in the greenhouse. But when it's sunny out, they sit out in the yard. But this is a good technique. Now, in the fall, after Thanksgiving, I'll cut all the roots around the bottom. I have a tool that I use, and I just hammer it down, and I'll just grab those handles and extract this plant right out of the ground. And then I'll bring it to my isolation room in the basement, or I'll put it in my root cellar for the winter. And I find that that works very, very effectively until the tree gets really big, and then it becomes a dilemma. All big trees in containers become a dilemma at a certain point after year 3, say year 4. And you can keep them around. I don't like keeping them, too much longer, because if you have to go to a really large pot, I just think that's counterproductive. The more the roots are compressed, the more fruit you're going to get. The smaller the pot, believe it or not, it's the nutrition that you give it that's important, not so much the size of the pot. So you can lug around a 100-pound pot and not get as much fruit. And as far as the quality of the fruit, you just can't beat in-ground versus container grown. But if you're going to grow in the container, there are nutrients that you can force feed a fig tree, and you can replicate the conditions of the soil quite closely and get some very, very good tasting figs. So those are the methods I use. Again, I wanted to mention one last thing. I like Negronne. It's very controversial, I know. VDB versus Negronne, and are they the same? And many people think they are. I don't. I think there is a slight variation between them. And over the years, I've had much, much better luck with Negronne. As far as slightly earlier, certainly more productive. I think slightly better in taste. This is just my opinion. We all have them for whatever it's worth. But they're both excellent cultivars, as is this Nero 600, which I love. I love this Nero 600. I have very good luck with it. And you can see the difference in the leaf patterns here. It's very interesting subject. So, good day. I'm waiting for the farmer. He's harvesting the wheat today. Once again, June 28th.